Welcome to NHK World Direct Talk, interviews with leaders, visionaries, and pioneers who are shaping Asia and the rest of the world. Mexico is a country abundant with natural resources. It's one of the most biodiverse nations on the planet. However, in recent years, development and a rise in tourism are threatening the environment. In Mexico, there's an individual who has been tackling these issues. Her name is Maritza Morales Casanova. She founded an environmental protection group at the age of 10 and has kept at it for 22 years. We had the chance to ask Morales more about her mission.
Oh, because when I was a child, I noticed that the only way to provide solutions to protect nature and environment was through environmental education. Environmental education is a powerful tool. When a child gets the knowledge, get the awareness, he is an ally to protect the nature.
Mérida, in the Mexican state of Yucatan, is the location for the headquarters of the Environmental Protection Group known as HUNAB. Here, workshops are held where children gather together to learn more about nature and the environment.
When I was a child, I used to have pets, and I have several experiences with them. For me, I remember I had a rabbit, and I didn't understand how to take care about them. And it was very difficult for me. And then I saw that all the kids around me also have pets, and we didn't know how to protect the animals that we be the owners. So then I saw my friends in the school, and I noticed that they didn't understand that a tree is a living being. They thought that there was just a trunk, and that's all. So I saw my friends in the school, in the elementary school, hurting animals, hurting plants, and I didn't understand why they did it, because they were living beings. So I started to talk with them about the importance of respect all the living beings around us. I invited them to go to my home after the school, and we used to read environmental magazines together, and then we designed a workshops. It was peer-to-peer, sharing the knowledge with our friends. That's how I started.
In order to continue her efforts, Maritza Morales Casanova launched the Environmental Protection Group, HUNAB. She was just 10 years old. She then went on to receive the National Youth Award from the President of Mexico. Since then, she has never stopped working on environmental issues, believing that a general lack of environmental awareness is the biggest problem.
I think that Mexico and even many countries in the world are facing several problems. One of them is global warming and climatic change. It's something that is difficult to understand for many people, but also it's something that is hurting our lives. There are other kind of environmental problems like extinction, illegal traffic of species, dry seasons. But I think that the worst problem in the world, and even in Mexico, is the lack of environmental education. Also, we have environmental laws, but few people know about the laws, and few people obey the laws. That's because the lack of education again. I mean, several environmental problems, but working together because of the lack of awareness and knowledge in people. We are learning about maths, we are learning about economy and physics at the school, but we are not learning about how to survive, how to protect our world. How can humans have a future if we are not teaching our children to protect nature, to protect grandmother Earth? That's the worst problem in the world. How can we adapt to climatic change if we are not teaching our children to do it? How can one ask to a businessman to protect nature and to have a healthy and environmental economy and company if he doesn't understand the importance of protecting nature because he never learned it at the school? So I think that the worst problem in my country is the lack of environmental education.
The key feature of these workshops is that the children themselves become teachers, passing on what they learn to other children. Themes are wide-ranging, including topics such as climate change, wildlife preservation, and pollution. The children come up with these themes themselves and discuss them as a group. One group even played a game where they all pretended to be frogs in order to learn about the difficulties of living in the wild.
Many kids come here for 1 year, and after a year, they get an accreditation as environmental instructors. The second year of training, they start to train their peers and to learn how to organize workshops, but many of them spend 4 years training and learning, and then they launch their own environmental projects as kids. And that's something very surprising, because they start to be environmentalists from childhood. Doesn't matter what they are going to be when they get adults. We don't know. Maybe they are going to be engineers or architects. We don't know. But something that we really know is that they are going to be humans who respect and protect our nature. Yeah, I think that every day when I'm working with children is very surprising, and I'm always happy to see how they are getting strong ideas and a strong commitment with nature. Talk with a kid that have a commitment with nature is not so common. When you talk with adults and ask them about what they think about protection nature or environmental issues, there's always the same thing. It is important, we should survive, we should protect. But when you're talking with a kid that he is only 10 years old and he really believes in what's happened around him, it's very surprising. It's unique. Yeah, for example, Maria, she's 12 years old, and she helped me to teach about global warming. And when we were talking about the decision of Donald Trump and the Paris Agreement, she said that she was sad because of that, because people should learn more about global warming. And I asked her about, what do you know about Paris Agreement? You're only 12. And she said, okay, I know that there's agreement between countries, and she started to explain me all the global warming process and the climatic change and the greenhouse effect. And that's something very surprising, because it's not common to learn that at the school, and she learned it here in HUNAB. She should be worried about playing or about making something at the school, but she is very worried about what happens with nature. That's something that surprised me and makes me feel happy.
She is currently working to create a facility for environmental education in Mérida. The land was provided by the local government, and building materials were donated by a former workshop participant now working as an architect. The facility is named Ceiba Pentandra Park, after a tree sacred to the ancient Mayans, as well as a particular favorite of the park's founder.
Ceiba Pentandra, an environment educational theme park. This is unique. It's the only place in the world where children can come and learn about nature, but also have fun. We only have the 35% of the facilitations. We're working on fundraising to keep building the buildings that we need. In fact, now we are building an holographic museum about animals of Mexico and global warming. And we are building an environmental library, because this information is not available for all the people in my city. If we get 100% of the construction of this environment educational park, we can train more than 64,000 kids a year. We can be an ally for the educational system in Yucatan. But the best thing is that the way we are working on teaching environmental issues can be replicated in any place of the world. If someone around the world, in Africa, in Japan, or in other country, want to replicate our activities, they can do it, because the methodology is the same one. We only need to adapt the information.
Meeting with environmental activists, leaders, and luminaries from around the world, Maritza Morales Casanova continues to stress the importance of environmental education.
The first thing is that I think that environment doesn't have borders. We cannot protect nature just for Mexico or just for Asia. We protect nature for all the humans. When we make a smart decision, we are protecting the nature and the natural resources for the next generations. So it is very important that countries take seriously about teaching on environmental education. During 22 years that I have been working on environmental issues, that's what I learned. Well, my special word is Grandmother Earth. For us, the Earth or the planet was like a mother that protects all the living beings. But children say that it's like a grandmother because there was long time when she started providing living for all of us. And then say that the rivers are like the veins of our grandmother Earth. And the water is like the blood, but now it's polluted. And it's the best, for me, it's the best word that I can learn from children because they say that kids are who are going to protect and save our grandmother Earth. Don't forget that each one of us have a special connection with nature, a special connection with grandmother Earth. She is always sharing us fruits, food, landscapes, and the possibility of live in harmony with our families.